Hey guys, Jeremy Knauff with Spartan Media here. And today I'm going to talk about Viking Books PR crisis. Now, Viking is a publishing company that creates books, both fiction and nonfiction, from a wide variety of authors. And over the weekend, they found themselves in the middle of a PR crisis when one of their authors, Seth Harp, doxed who he thought was the commander of Delta Force in a sleazy attempt to promote his new book. Now, this was the tweet. I went ahead and cropped it, so we're not putting any more exposure on this particular officer who does work with Delta Force, but was not the commander of the operation in Venezuela over the weekend. But essentially, he put out this tweet doxing this commander and then came up with the bullshit claim that, oh, it's perfectly legal for a U.S. reporter to disclose classified material. No, it's not in the slightest. That's absolute horseshit. Now, it's worth noting that he later deleted that tweet because he got so much backlash, and he even went as far as completely locking down all of his social media profiles to try and hide from the effects of what he did. And furthermore, it's worth noting that he identified the wrong guy in the first place. Not much of an investigative journalist, in my opinion. Before we jump into addressing the PR crisis itself, I do have a message for Seth Harp. My man, locking down your social media profiles will not help you in any way, shape, or form. Delta just invaded a country and snatched their whole ass president without taking a single casualty. If they want you, there is literally nothing that you can do to stop them. Personally, I think it's going to be hilarious when his new landscaper shows up and he looks something like this. If you guys don't know who that is, I would encourage you to look it up. This guy, even though he looks like your history teacher, he is one of the most badass veterans that you will ever meet. The guy's got some crazy stories, and he was one of the founding members of Delta Force. Now, for anyone who maybe not familiar with Delta Force, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background. These guys don't sit on X all day crying about everything like Seth does. These are the guys who go out and they make shit happen. They take on the most dangerous missions against all odds, putting themselves in harm's way to protect Americans, including pussies like you, Seth. They're superhuman warriors who operate in small units deep behind enemy lines to infiltrate and then capture or destroy the most heavily guarded targets in the world. These guys are real men, nothing like you. But your wife's boyfriend can probably tell you a little bit of something about what a real man is. All right, that being said, let's talk about what you as an entrepreneur should do if you find yourself in a situation where a stupid person makes a stupid move that ends up landing your business in a PR crisis like Viking Books is facing right now. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to take accountability. So how do we do that? Well, we want to cut ties with the person responsible immediately. If I were running Viking Books, or if I were running their PR, I would cut him from their roster entirely. I would not publish anything from him. I would remove his books from their library. I would take him completely out of the picture as if he never existed. Next, they need to make the situation right. So the first step in that is to make a public apology. And I don't mean one of these bullshit, oh, hey, we're sorry if anyone was offended type of apologies. I mean a legitimate apology, taking ownership of the problem. Now, in the military, we had a mindset where it may not be your fault as a leader, but it is 100% your responsibility. So if one of my guys fucked up in the military, yes, they would get in trouble, but I would also get in trouble for that. And as a leader, that's how it's supposed to work. So with Viking Books being the leader in this particular relationship, they need to take responsibility for this situation. And the only way to do that is to make a public apology and actually take ownership of the problem. The next thing they need to do is they need to make a sizable donation to a military charity of some sort. In this case, ideally, that would be one that benefits the U.S. Special Operations community. These guys are out there putting their lives on the line every day, doing unimaginable things to protect all Americans, even pussies like Seth. So donating a 6-figure donation to one of those organizations would go a long way in helping to restore that company's reputation. Beyond that, they need to outline a plan to ensure that something like this never happens again. So you start with extreme vetting. You want to look into the background of a person before you align with them. Don't bring on an author who's a complete scumbag like this guy is. That's step one. The next thing you can do is have your lawyer add a clause to your contract to address this kind of behavior that can harm your company's reputation. A lot of companies have something similar, like a social media policy, where if you're out here just acting like an absolute ass on social media and it damages their reputation, they have the legal authority, the legal right to fire you. Now, this is less important in a state like Florida, for example, where I live, where it's a right to work state. So you can literally fire anyone at any time for any reason. But it's still a smart idea to have something like this in place for 2 reasons. One is that it shows you're serious about only working with people who can conduct themselves properly. If you're going to be out here acting like an absolute ass, people should have the ability to fire you. And by having a clause like that in your contract, that's going to prevent some of these douchebags from ever trying to align with you in the first place. But then beyond that, it gives you legal grounds for a clean break. So maybe you had a contract of some sort that you still have to pay them X amount of dollars for throughout that contract. Maybe you have to publish a book. Like that happens a lot of times with authors, where they will pay an author a certain amount of money and then they agree to publish X number of books over a period of years. If they don't have a clause like that in their contract, they would still be required to put those books, at least pay the author, probably still put those books out. So this gives you a legal grounds for a clean break, and you can also come after them for damages at that point, right? These are all things that you can put into your contract that protect you and also help prevent these people from getting involved with your company in the first place. So if I was handling Viking Books PR, that's how I would handle this situation. Based on their response so far, I don't think that that's what they're going to do, because I've been looking at their X profile throughout the day, and they just keep tweeting more bullshit promotions. And of course, everybody in the comments is dragging them, and they are not addressing a single one of these responses. So right now, their approach just seems to be, let's just ignore it and hope it goes away, right? But nobody is going to forget about this, and this is going to damage them long term. So I hope you guys found this video useful, and I also hope you found it entertaining, because I sure as hell was entertained making it. So if you guys did, I would love it if you'd share this, love it if you drop a comment, and if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you on the next video, guys. Thanks.